Most girls are taught to avoid risk and failure. We are taught to play safe, smile pretty, get all A's. Boys, on the other hand, are taught to play rough, bet big, climb to the top of the monkey bars, and then just jump off head first. And when they become adults, when negotiating a rise or even asking someone out on a date, they are used to taking risk after risk. And what about us, girls? What is being taught to us about courage? Nothing. And I really believe it's time to talk about it, because we have to start to know how to deal with our fear, how to prepare ourselves to face the challenge, control our emotions, break the social mirrors, and be ourselves. In this picture, I was 5 years old, and it was the first time that I discovered what being brave means. Hi, I'm Maria Jennifer, and now I am 14. Since I was born, I was very insecure and afraid of everything, because I think everything was very difficult for me. The divorcing from my parents, leaving my house to go to the countryside to live with my grandparents, and then living with my godmother, who at the time was a stranger to me. When I was 5 years old, still living with my mother, before I went to go to the countryside to live with my grandparents. On a normal Saturday, like all the others, we are at home. In this time, my mom had already separated from my father and was with another man, my stepfather. So when it's getting dark, he came home, drunk, say unnecessary things, screaming. And she looked at me and said, "Maria, hide inside the wardrobe." And I did. Things looked complicated. They argued loudly. He screamed, she screamed and cried. And then she started to scream for help because he was hitting her. I was so scared, really scared, because I never felt it before. But it was my mom, so I felt it's my duty to help her, and I needed to go for this. So I faced my fear, I got out of my comfort zone, and I stayed quiet. I started to crawl out of the wardrobe, and then went for the living room, left the walls, and knocked on the neighbor's gate. When she came, I told her everything. I told her to call to the police and ask for help. When the police arrived, they arrested my stepfather and helped my mom. And in the end, my mom looked at me and said, "Thank you, my daughter. I love you." And the neighbors and the police said I have been very brave. And I was so happy because in my mind I had saved my mother. And it was really amazing for me. Looking at this experience 10 years later, I can get 5 fundamental tips, tricks, and things that I did to face my fear and develop my bravery. 1. If you are in a situation where you need to be brave, but you are afraid, go with fear anyway. A thing that I have learned is that we have to start being comfortable with fear, because to be brave, first, we need to feel fear. And it's normal. Okay, to start, you know what is to be brave? Okay, being brave seems to not be afraid. It makes sense to acquire courage with not being afraid, since it's usually this feeling that keeps us from acting like a person that goes and does whatever it takes to reach the goal, whatever the cost. Or sometimes it's this feeling, the fear, that impulses us to do what we need and what we want to do. Not being afraid seems to be the condition for acting on what is important to us. even when what needs to be done requires much more than we think we are capable of. When fear is an obstacle, what we often find ourselves saying is, "Oh, I want to do this, but I'm afraid," or even, "If I wasn't so scared, I would do it." And we see people doing these things that seems difficult to us, and we think, "Whoa, how brave." And in my mind, "Whoa, how this person can do it without fear?" Logically, we conclude that fear is the opposite of courage. But the main difference in this point of view is that fear is not the opposite, but is part of courage. In fact, we understand that courage involves hug the fear and make it part of ourselves. Fear is like a sign that we are going beyond what is already known. Being brave, therefore, is not about not feeling fear when moving forward on no terrain, but knowing how to move forward walking side by side with fear. So, if you go with the fear anyway, but instead afraid of your fear, face it fear. And in the end, get what you wanted, so you will realize that is the best choice. 2. If you go with the fear anyway, prepare yourself beforehand. Now you know what it is to be brave, but how can you practice it? I will show you 5 steps that can help you to be brave, and that helped me in that moment that I need help when I was 5 years old, and that helped me even today when I need to face the challenge I developed along my life. Step 1. Recognize the fear, and it's part of the act of having courage is necessary. So, deal with your fear is the first step. 2. Take risks. 3. Discern being prudent of being afraid. Prudence is a good thing. Just make sure you are not pretending being prudent when you're really afraid of taking necessary risks. Step 4. See fear as a call to action. And step 5. Turn fear into excitation. So now with these steps, you can develop your bravery. However, practice it. 3. Control your emotions, as I did inside the wardrobe. Don't let them explode and collapse. Don't act on impulse. So think before you act. You will not be successful in what you want if you are dominated by fear. So teach yourself to be brave. Fear is the enemy of success. If you are fear-ridden, you will never take risks, and you will never achieve the success you deserve. A thing is certain in life: the decisions that scare us the most is the ones that bring the best rewards. This doesn't mean that choices aren't hard, but you need to replace fear with a feeling of pleasure for receiving a reward. Okay, but what type of reward? Self-confidence, self-esteem, self-respect, self-love, a work that you want too much. Things that you can get without fear, having courage. And remember, it's okay to be afraid. What you can do is let fear control you. So control your fear and you go far. 4. How the way girls are raised affects them today. Since we're children, we hear the words, "Be careful," "Watch out," "Don't do this," or simple "No." Especially girls who always have been seen as fragile. And in the end, it's leaving these girls insecure, afraid, with this vision that they are fragile and incapable of realizing things that requires more action, more danger. And when they become adults, when they grow up, when they need to do something that they want, but they are afraid, they don't know how to deal with that. And most of the time, they didn't even try. In other words, girls are being raised to be perfect, not to be brave, not to face the world the way it is. So I will say a thing. Don't be afraid of raise your hand, speak, ask a question. Don't be afraid of being the only one that doesn't understand something. So rebel, abandon concepts and positions, rules. A famous research by technology company HP in 2013 showed that most company women employees just apply for a position if they fulfill 100% of the qualifications. Yes, 100%. Among men, if they fulfill 60% of the qualifications is enough for them to compete for the position. What people say about it? Well, women need more confidence. Okay, I think it's a fact. Women don't know how to deal with imperfection because they are raised to aspire for the perfection. So, we need to be comfortable with imperfection. We need to start deal with that imperfection because imperfection is not a sign of valor, it's a sign of bravery. If you start deal with your imperfections, you will start to know how to develop your bravery. So, don't write your qualities. Don't write the best you have to offer, the best you have to offer the world. Only be yourself, and with that is step 5. Be yourself. Insecurity and fear brings a feeling of inferiority. People think that they are not enough to be loved, accepted, even if really it shows the opposite. So think about this. What makes us special? The difference. Difference cannot be allowed to define you. And the word equal cannot be allowed to define anyone. We are all different, we are all unique and original. The thing that all of us has in common is that we are human. So don't feel bad if you are different. Only be yourself and celebrate this difference that make you special. Give way to courage. You need to decide once and for all if it's more important to take risk of growing up yourself and take your own decisions than to stay stuck in what you feel is safe in. That is, stay in your comfort zone. So, don't let fear keep you from do what you want. If necessary, close your eyes and go toward your fear. One day my mom said a thing for me, and I want to say it for you. The important is not to win the war, but the battle is life. Thank you.